From the great studio Love 97. Boy, what a week it is. I must apologize on giving an explanation for failure to attend. I had a few calls, persons want to find out what happened, why no show was last week. I getting old now, so I young and strong like I used to be, where I used to attend every show every week. Them days God, I am 50. I had a half a century now, so I ain't got that energy like I used to, where I gotta research every night, study for exam, go to work every morning, and still be to the show and do all that by them days. God, I get to do it. I get to do it. But so be it. I was out to sea, and we reached back in. We didn't reach back in time to get to the show last week, but I make sure up along the trip, so I'll be here this week. I try my best to don't have two shows back to back conducted. So I'm here this week, live and living colors. I want to say good night to the President Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Philip Brave Davis, and I will give some advice to the PLP before I begin the show. For that show, you're gonna have some persons from the United Bengi Rastafarian movement. They're supposed to be in the studio this evening. I think they're running a little late, but they should be here to be a part of the conversation about the cannabis legislation. And I was hoping to get someone from the medical field, but everyone people be scared to be in front of something that is new and what will bring change to this country. And this legislation is overdue. It's long overdue. And I never smoke cigarette, neither smoke dope, neither smoke cannabis, neither marijuana, whatever you want to call it. I never smoke them, but I think it's overdue. Because if a tourist could come from any part of the world, come to the Bahamas, and participate in activities that the citizens of this country cannot participate in, and you could tell me, someone lighting up a spliff to satisfy their soul for whatever reason, whether it be medical, religious, religion, or satisfaction, it shouldn't be a problem. Because, in my humble opinion, I'm going to begin the show this evening by stating that I guarantee you rum does more damage than heroin, or marijuana, or cannabis, whatever one you comfortable calling it. Cigarette do double or triple the damage to a human than any amount of herb, or cannabis, or marijuana, whatever name you call it. I guarantee you that. I don't even need to read the study that I have, or the research that I have. Right? So if they can they legalize rum and cigarette because of the persons who own those entities, who has the monopoly on Rotman and Marlboro and all kind of them cigarettes would have nicotine, but on the box with the skeleton sign. Where some people die from it over the years, that the Surgeon General had to put the information on every pack. That's how much people die from cigarette. I know people get drunk and from rum and cirrhosis of the liver. And I remember vividly, and I used to tune into Fenton Nemore, the late Fenton Nemore, a former member of Parliament, a former cabinet, many a minister of state. I think he was a former minister of state in the Free National Movement. On his dying bed, he was asking the government to take some consideration in legalizing the cannabis because of the level of comfort it brings to him when I think he was plagued with cancer. And on his dying bed, he went to his grave asking the government to please consider, so that other persons who comes behind him in this life and who cannabis bring comfort to, that when they're sick and ill, that they'll be able to bring some sort of comfort. And he said that on different shows he spoke on, he said that the cannabis was the only thing that gave him appetite. And that's what caused him to live as long as he lived while he was sick. Because he wasn't eating. He didn't have no appetite to eat. But the cannabis caused him to get appetite and caused his body to still function for a longer period. Because without food and water, you die. Right? And the cannabis was bringing some relief in the medical sense to his sickness and to his body. The late Fenton Nemo, a former member of Parliament in the Free National Movement administration. I think he was a Minister of State of Works, if my mind serves me correctly. So this legislation is long overdue, and this progressive Liberal Party government, progressive Liberal Party government, was headed by a great leader, the Right Honorable Philip Brave Davis. I think that he's continuing on the path that he began from the night of the election. The Bahamian people enjoyed the extension on the curfew from 10 o'clock to midnight. That was the first night when the PLP government had won the election. And some things have changed, and inspired a former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hugh Alexander Ingram, who I believe he saw that this administration had continuously gained favorable approval as it's trotted along, and he said that they only get enough favorable approval continuously because they ain't make no hard decision. But I must note that this Prime Minister must continue on the trend. He's bringing relief to plenty places, wants to continue on this progressive movement and modernization of this country. But my guest has arrived, so I'm going to let my sponsors go to the break, and when I come back, I will introduce my guest and begin the show. Our banner sponsor tonight, the City of Hope, the former Cancer Society of Americas. That's our banner sponsor, the City of Hope. Nagico Insurance for all your insurance needs. All your insurance needs are located on Marquis Street near the Salvation Army. That's Nagico Insurance. Listen, be a part of the new innovative insurance in this country, the fastest growing insurance company in the history of the Bahamas existence. That's Nagico Insurance on Nassau Street near Salvation Army building. Global Insurance, that's Stain and Crew out Sandy Port. If you need some home insurance, you need some commercial insurance, some residential, marine, you need some medical insurance, some personal insurance, whatever you need in an insurance field, give it Global, go visit Global and let them have the headache, let them sort it for you, let them get the best possible rates that you can get. Global Insurance out Sandy Port, Tain and Crew 601-0006. 601-0006 for all your insurance. Also brought to you tonight by Rasta Greens and Things on Nassau Street. Listen, eat healthy this weekend. Try it. I guarantee you Monday morning you will feel 10 times better. Try some greens and maybe a salmon or a snapper and one of those naturally brewed fresh fruit drinks like peanut punch, sorrel, citrus, guava, 7-man shrimp, what's the next one? Sea moss. You know, sea moss is one of the richest plants in the history of invention. Sea moss has 102 minerals and vitamins. Try one of the sea moss, I guarantee you will love it. That's natural drink. You need these drinks without all kind of chemical and carbon dioxide and things to stretch preservatives where it can last for 10 years. These drinks are naturally potent, natural drinks. Nothing additive, no additive. No others added. That's Rasta Greens and Things on Nassau Street. Pay me a visit. Tell me where it is out on Prime Time with Independent TV. We'll take our first commercial break, and when I come back, my guest is in the studio. We're going to introduce right after the break. Take a break, producer. Let's go and come back.
Cancer. It's a word no one wants to hear. But at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we hear it every day. It's a word we've dedicated our lives to overcoming by changing the way patients are treated. And now we're part of City of Hope, which is one of the nation's top 10 cancer hospitals. Together, we'll combine leading-edge clinical research with precision cancer treatment, so we can be there when you need us most. So when you hear the word cancer, there's another word that should come to mind: hope. Call now.
all sects of Rastafarians, we all come to the conclusion that we have been doing a disservice not just to ourselves, but to the community by keeping to ourselves so much. So now you would see the Rastafarians doing more things out in the community. You know, we try to stay humble, so we try to do things. We've been doing a lot of things in the community, but we don't publicize it.
Right.
We don't go out and, you know, so people say.
Because you all had a good cleanup yesterday. I think it's yesterday. Big cleanup in the community and some of that. And persons don't know that. Persons don't. But listen, for the years I know persons who follow that faith, the faith or the belief, they don't have to get arrested because they don't bother people. They humble persons. They struggle. They either sell peanuts, they sell natural juice. They do things very humble.
I'll tell you something that I've seen. I've been a Rasta for over 30 years. I can go in any. I know when back in the day, a pastor, you know, it is our street church, and the people who respect that, even the guys them driving in their cars with the loud music, when they see the street church, they turn the music down, and that's the respect they had for the church. Now they cuss the pastor
Right.
in his face.
Change.
But when I walk down the road, and if they cursing and they see me, I am blessed, pardon I, my Lord, you know.
Right.
So they know righteousness.
Right.
And they know it because they see righteousness.
Right.
Not because I tell them I'm righteous, they know it because they see it. So the people and the younger ones are now accepting it more. Not that we see a change where there's less of us becoming Rastas now, but we see the community now accepting us for our righteous stand.
Right.
We've even asked the government to be a part with them to go in and do conflict resolution and go into the community and speak with the young ones. And you know, because we have this our society too. We live here. And we want to be able to help, saying that they're listening to us and they're willing to give us that respect. Why not partner with the government and go out there and go do it? You know, we had a project where we were working with the social service, the men's gender part of the social service. And, you know, we had a Father's Day, you know, and I went out with my sons and took out my equipment for my company, you know, just to let the people know we here. We'd like to go and sit down and speak to the students then, because, yeah, when they see us think, yes, Rasta, but, you know, they stop, settle themselves, and they listen.
If they get in that movement, I can guarantee you. Because I will tell you over the years, I'm from South Anders, right? And I know Whitman McKinney, them, and Hardy McKinney, and, you know, I know plenty of William Smith, and plenty of the persons who support the Rastafarian movement. And they humble people. You don't see them cursing about the road, saying language. You don't see them never ever conducting themselves in that manner. No drunkenness. They don't be about the road land and drunk. They don't be no bar cursing again. And two religion, I'm not saying that other religions are bad, but two religion, I notice persons are very, very humble. It's your movement, or your religion, or your culture, and the Muslims.
And just like
And they humble, I don't understand, I say, I just get like
Right.
that relax.
With our Muslim brothers and sisters, they don't live a religion either. They live a culture.
That's a culture.
Yes.
Okay.
That's our way of life.
Okay,
You
that's
see,
way of life.
everything they do is surrounded around the Muslim faith.
Right.
The way they dress, people they marry, where they go to,
Right.
everything. And they pray 3 times a day. Don't care where they are, they're gonna drop and pray.
And one of the things I don't know if I'm correct, but I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. Persons in the Rastafarian, it appears that they usually marry persons who believe the belief is, would that make life more easier when you do that, or?
Well, the thing is for us, we would find less female Rastas, empresses here, than Rastaman. So you'd find a lot of us, we date secular females, and it isn't to change her into a Rastafarian. My wife is not a Rastafarian,
Right.
right? But my wife love the Lord.
Right.
And that's the first part of attracting me.
Right.
You know, I don't care who it is, what God you call. If you serve in your God, I could respect that.
Right.
And that tell me you have a mind for a higher being.
Right.
You know there's somebody greater than you.
Right.
So from there we could build a relationship within that.
Right.
You know, and I said that my wife isn't a Rastafarian and she can kill me, but she doesn't have dreadlocks, but she lived the same principle as I. You know,
Right.
she's vegetarian, she lives with me, so you know we live the same principle, and we find that we put a tag to it, a name to it, but it's just the natural way of life.
And I'll go on the limb and say this, you know, if you see, we had the Bahamas as the whole Bahamas use a Rastafarian culture. You would have not one murder.
No.
Because
no,
I tell you,
no.
I have a brother who's a Rasta, right? And my brother, he'll eat the house out. That's it. He bother nobody.
Right.
He'll sit himself and he meditate and he do wood carving and he stay himself. He do painting. He said himself. And he don't bother nobody.
As peaceful as we is, we lions in this jungle, and a lion will roar. But we don't mean we can bite. So meaning that we can get us sometime riled up, but none of us can go to the blows or run for a gun, or we don't want to fight. Most of the time the argument between us is you have a point and you feel like your point is right, and I have a point and I feel my point is right, and we may get loud about that because we're not seeing each other's point at the time.
Right.
But there's no reason to fight.
Right.
You know, and sometimes we can have very quiet gentleman discussion over things, and if you speak to any Rastafarian, for me and my brethren just to say good morning on the phone, it's usually a 3-minute, 4-minute greeting
Yes.
between each other, because we speak long.
Yeah.
We long-winded, and people say, man, y'all arguing? No, we ain't arguing, just having a discussion, because we about peace, you know, sometimes some of us get passionate about what we're speaking about, but if it comes to violent, that go definitely far against us, and that's why you find that we are not criminalized, because we live, I don't know if you ever heard the word Ubuntu, Ubuntu, meaning what's good for you is good for me, and what's good for me is good for you. What I will see for you is what I will see for me, and what I will see for me, I will see for you.
Now, you know, and
So,
in the legal world, I'm in the law school, and I have a law degree. And in the legal world, it's called that you are your brother's keeper.
Yep.
You have a duty of care for your brother.
Definitely.
So you treat just how you want to be treated, you should be treated.
Exactly.
And when you want the best for you, you should want the best for me.
Right. So sometimes when we come up, like I say, we may have a little argument on how to get that apart, but the goal and mission of all the statements is for the best. How do we achieve the best?
Right.
You know, so we never fight against each other. We have disagreements because we're humans.
We're human,
We have our disagreements. We can never see everything in the same way. But it's
Right.
how you approach it when we don't see everything in the same way.
Right.
And that's why, you know, they'd say that, you know, I never hear Rasta talk bad but another Rasta. No, that's like talking bad but myself. Now,
Right.
I would tell my brother when he's wrong.
Right.
Because, you know, the Bible tells us, if your brother love you, he will chastise you.
Right. Right.
Prove me, you know, if I do, it should be an excellent oil upon my head. You know what they tell me? If you could tell me that I am wrong, you love me.
Right.
But if you allow me to finish in my wrong, what love do you have for me?
Right. Right. It's 8 o'clock. First commercial break. Let's take our next break. Producer, we take our next break, and when we come back, we continue this conversation. My special guest, Prophet Jamiki Bo. And we're gonna listen. There are 21 and more medical reasons that the cannabis.
88.
What you call it?
88.
88?
Yes, the
I only
government
have
only
21.
wants
I have 22.
see 21.
Yeah, I have 22. But you say it's 88.
It's 88.
88 different good reasons
Good
why the cannabis is good for the human body. We're going to continue my conversation when I come back to the first commercial break. My special guest, Mr. Jamiki Bo, is in studio with me. This is Primetime, live, 1197. After.
Cancer. It's a word no one wants to hear. But at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we hear it every day. It's a word we've dedicated our lives to overcoming by changing the way patients are treated. And now we're part of City of Hope, which is one of the nation's top 10 cancer hospitals. Together, we'll combine leading-edge clinical research with precision cancer treatment, so we can be there when you need us most. So when you hear the word cancer, there's another word that should come to mind: hope. Call now.
Studio 1197, this is Primetime with Independent Thinker. My name is Marlon Owen Johnson. We're in studios. I have Mr. Ja Mickey Bo Babu Shanti. He's in the house tonight, and we want to speak on cannabis, on some of the benefits, and some 88 benefits. I have 24 listed. Some of the health benefits. We can have the conversation. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you could call in and be a part of the conversation. 326-8255, 326-8255, 322-5477, 322-5477. You could call in, be a part of the conversation anytime you wish. But you want to give your 5 cents about the legislation. You want to maybe critique the legislation to state what you think need to be added to the legislation. But the time has come, and the New Day government, under the leadership of the Right Honorable Philip Brave Davis, think that, why should we still be in 2024 arresting a citizen for a half bag or a small portion of marijuana where they're using it for whatever reason, medical use, their religious belief or religion or culture. Gone are the days, man. Tourists that come to this country from all around the world on a driver's license and participate in activities that citizens in this country cannot participate. And you could tell me, simple as just enjoying a bush, and we should be arresting and throwing them behind bars and taking away liberty. Freedom is on its way. This legislation brings freedom to plenty places in this country, and I'm not a part of that, but I am a part of the movement to free some black people in this country and reference to some of the things that they choose and desire as a result of their belief, their appetite or whatever. Let them have it. Free mind. Free mind. Yes, sir.
Okay. What I'd like to say is, one, we want to, as the Rastafarian community, we want to try to remove the stigma that is put to cannabis, where cannabis was being demonized from. It was made illegal in the Bahamas in 1968. But yet in 74, Israel started their cannabis research, and now Israel has the largest cannabis research in the world. They're miles ahead of everybody in the world. Israel, where cannabis is legal, and they use it for all purposes, from recreation to medical. And why? Because they've done a 50-year study on cannabis. This isn't something new to them. When we look at, we always follow America, where until 2012, you could not get a grant to study cannabis if it was to prove that cannabis had a positive effect on a human being. You can only study cannabis for its negative effects. So therefore, every study that you've heard people mention about cannabis is faulty. When they say cannabis burns out your brain cells, like plenty of people I was on a show and people saying this and they don't understand where that study come from. I can't remember the doctor's name. His name is Steve. No, let me don't call his name by mistake. But what he did was he strapped a monkey with a gas mask and pumped 65 joints, the equivalent of 65 joints, in that monkey within less than 5 minutes. When the monkey died, they studied the brains to see how many brain cells were burned out. And then they say it burns out your brain cells. But that was because that study, they only could have proved that it had a negative effect. When they did the actual study and found out that it increased the brain cells, they shelved that study. They shelved that one. But now that when they say it expands the mind, and that's where the saying cannabis expands the mind come from, because they realize that it grows new receptacles, new brain cells. So now they don't want to mention that study.
Right.
We talk about the junk science. That's why when most of the people speak, they speak from junk science. Up until, funny thing with the bill, we have all these doctors here in the Bahamas who all been in the medical field before 2018. But it was not until 2018 that doctors started studying medical cannabis at the doctorate level. I know that because we are a part of a group called ACAM. ACAM has the world's first PhD in cannabis in the name of Dr. Rachel Knox. We also have Dr. Tesla along with us, not the one from the car, but the female Dr. Tesla, who is actually a geneticist in cannabis. We, and the Rasta community, we don't fool with people who don't know. Everyone who we deal with is PhD certified and basically the first in their field. And why? Because they consulted with us, something that the government of our own country would not give us that respect, but at least the international world know. And we have this knowledge, you know, and when you see this legislation come out, just even looking at it, there's nothing in this for the Rasta. They feel like, because they don't know our culture and our faith, they legislate this along the lines of a Christian faith. When we say our sacrament, they look at it like the wine and bread in church. It's not that fast. Our sacrament is something, like I said, we don't have religion every day, everywhere. So when you tell me it only can be used in the tabernacle, we say as Rastas, the body is the tabernacle. When the good Lord come, when the Most High come here for us, He's not gonna pick up those buildings and carry it.
Right.
You carry your tabernacle, your body.
Yeah, your body.
So when you say, oh, you legislated that only in the tabernacle, that don't make no sense to us. But if you would come and speak to us, you'd understand that that don't equate to us. We, as the spokesperson for the Rastafarian community for cannabis, I've been in every meeting that their government had about cannabis. And we tried to explain this to them. Try to explain them. Come on, when they say they had consultation with the Rastafarian community, no.
In that conversation.
I was there.
You was there representing.
And when I say that, to me, I don't know, everybody else. The pharmacists them said it, the doctors said it, the Rastafarian community said it. It was no consultation. We had a meeting with them. That's what you call it. We come in, we meet, you put a document in front of me and say, this is what we can do. And then the document is still the document you have to the day. When we give you the myriad of problems we saw in the bill, government even told us, okay, we have a website that we want y'all to put y'all concerns on, and we got our whole community. You may see one or two Rastafarians. I can tell you, as the former vice chair of the House of Rastafari, we have more than 23,000 Rastafarians here in the Bahamas.
23,000?
Yeah.
Gee.
And it was, I told them, you know, they know that how our belief is when it comes to voting. But I tell them we are a voting bloc, and it only take us 3 months, 4 months to go into any neighborhood, 5,000 of us, and we could flip any seat in government we want.
And that's good news.
And we could choose any seat
That's
we
good.
want to have.
That's good news.
You know, so when the government think we don't have a recourse, we have a recourse. Numbers and politics mean something to them. Right?
Numbers is the most important thing in politics.
So, right, and seeing they don't understand that we know this, but like we say, we quiet, we stand in the background, so they feel like they could just railroad us, shove us on the side. You know, they asked us during the African XM Bank Expo to, as Dr. Darby, let the bill pass, we'll do amendments after the bill. I'd ask them what law they've seen in the Bahamas has been changed. We still can't gamble in the casino.
Right.
We still complain about the Real Property Tax
Right.
Act. We talk about so much different laws and we complain, governments complain about how bad the laws are, but nobody changes it.
Right.
But Friday gone. The farmer system tell them, we don't want this and that in the legislation. And Monday when they went to the House, they had the changes put in place. But they didn't do that for the Rastafarians, but they don't have no respect for us. You know?
Numbers is cost respect.
Right.
Remember that.
See, but
Numbers in
right.
politics.
And when we look at the legislation, I think they want to pigeonhole us to one aspect of the bill. This sacrament where they don't understand, where they think all we want to do is just smoke.
Right.
So they pigeonhole us to being, and how they legislate it, they legislate us to smoke. I ask, what other religion or faith in this country does the government legislate? None?
None.
Only the Rastafarians? Why? Isn't this something for us to go to court for?
Right.
And what we already had the government in court for our constitutional rights. We didn't lose, people say we didn't lose the case. We didn't win the case. The justice told us the government's gonna do something with legalization. Let's wait on the government to do what they have to do. But now that we see what the government's gonna do, we look like we're gonna have to go back to court, you know, to get our rights, and that's it. And I heard the Christian Council president, he have a strong stance about the Rastafari. We expect that he always hated the Rastafari movement. We only want to live in peace, you know, and that's him. And what I ask for him personally is, what do he have in it? Why do he so much support the medical, but nothing else? He would rather infringe on our constitutional rights. I wouldn't want to be one, and I've said it, I wouldn't want to go against the church, because I know there's pastors and Christians that are in agreement with the bill.
Right.
And we also have
And support
those that who don't, and they should be free. He should speak from his personal point of view, but don't speak, even though he's the head of the Christian Council, he shouldn't speak for all the Christians, because all the Christians don't feel like him.
No.
You know, and he needs to disavow himself from any part of this legislation or this cannabis authority like they want to be. The Christian Council want to sit on the board on the cannabis for what?
If you don't have a understanding, a pure understanding of it, why would you want to be a part? I mean, you know, and I remember a statement that was made by the former Prime Minister, the late great Sir Lyndon Oscar Pillen, and when he was going to legalize gambling, and he invited the Christian Council members to be a part of the meeting. And at the ending of the meeting, he asked them to give their opinion as a group, and their opinion was that they were against gambling. And the great late Sir Lyndon Pillen replied them, I expect you to be against gambling.
You should be.
You should be.
Exactly.
But that don't mean you must go all out to organize the implementation and the country needed and this and that. You're supposed to be against it. It's against Christianity.
If it's against Christianity, preach it in church again
Right.
to your members. You
Right.
have to do it.
Right.
But you don't come out and get the government to legislate against a whole heap
Right. You don't do
set
that.
of people them because you are better than them.
Yes, sir.
Or you is the moral authority over them, even though they don't follow your faith.
Right.
No, it's
No,
not.
you're right.
It's not fair.
You're 100%
No,
correct.
I-
Because I'm telling you, you know, the Muslim faith, I think they allowed more than one wife if they can afford it,
Right.
right? And the Muslim person say so humble. I watch them. Their movement is so quiet and humble. And their rights, in my humble opinion, is being violated constitutionally because they have their religious belief. Where the Constitution, I mean, preambles start off by giving you freedom of association of your belief, and if they're not allowed to practice their faith, they're being discriminated against.
That's exactly.
You know what I mean?
And our preamble said freely. We're supposed to be able to do these things, but and the government should not be involved in that also. And what we have right now with our legislation is a heavy involvement of the government, right to the point of wanting us to have an ID to be able to have cannabis. So I just asked in my Rastafarian group, I asked them, so if I don't plan to get none of the government ID, so what that mean? I'm not a Rasta? Or I'm not a Rastafarian until I get this?
You don't need no ID, man. See, listen, I see if this what you were saying is actually what they wants to happen today. They backwards.
That's what it is.
An ID was given in the 70s to Bob Marley from the Queen, and in 2024 we won't give ID. Bob Marley had an ID from the Queen where you can smoke marijuana any place, right? He had an ID
Yeah.
to do that. Why in 2024 we won't do that?
Now, the thing though,
We don't need to do that.
with over 20,000 Rastas here in the country, if all of us had to get an ID, every year the ID have to be renewed. Who gets all of this money? Because we have to pay to be a part of our faith, because we have to buy a government ID. So we have to pay the government to be a part of this faith, or we are not recognizing the faith.
I can tell you didn't start off wrong. Let me take this call. Prime down independently. Go ahead, caller.
Good evening, sir. Welcome, and thank you for coming with the part of the show.
Yes, sir.
I have listened to this gentleman, and while I sympathize with him to some degree about the lack of respect that his group has been receiving from society, I remember the very beginning days of what is called Rastafarianism in this country. And I don't know whether this gentleman would admit to it, but
You gotta turn down your radio. You're having a feedback at the studio. Just turn down your radio or turn it off and tell you when you get right.
in the early stages of what is called Rastafarianism, we had a group of individuals in this country who were known as the guys who played the blocks. Those were the individuals who predominantly created problems for society in this country. Many of them didn't comb their hair. They didn't groom themselves. And so when this group of who call themselves Rastafarianism or who call themselves Rastas or are part of the Rastafarian group, they saw certain things in this group that appealed to them. Primarily the hairstyle. Because many of these individuals, if you look at the average person who is looked at or posted on a police poster, for the most part they're not groomed. They have this wide-looking hairstyle. And so that's what the ancient day criminals looked like in the Bahamas in the late 60s and going into the 70s. So when the Rastafarians came out with this hairstyle that some of them keep a very neat hairstyle. They have these nice dreadlocks. But the criminals back then saw this hairstyle to be somewhat similar to them because not all of these people who call themselves Rastas keep this groomed or very well-groomed hairstyle. So you had criminals mixing up themselves with this group because of certain things that they saw appealing. And as a result, society began to associate Rastas with criminals. And whether this gentleman will agree to it, Rastas in the late 70s going into the 80s became a very intimidating group in this country. A group of lawless, intimidating group whether it was solely his group or there were people who were associated themselves with his group based on the way they chose to live their personal lives and saw some similarities with their personal lives with respect to the Rastafarians. Rastas, and I remember it, they would go into, or people who would call themselves Rastas, because you had this group of people calling themselves Rastas, and they went into certain neighborhoods. And particularly you had these small neighborhood rental units let's say you had like 10 houses in the yard or 5 houses in the yard. And you would have a few people who would move into this community, rent these houses, create this wooden fence around this whole property, and then call it a Rasta camp. And we had several of them in the country. And they were intimidating factors that worked negatively against that group. And so I'm simply saying that to say this. When the modern day Rastas who are trying to bring about some decent group and some decent and positive attention to what they are seeking to be or what they are seeking to represent or what they are seeking to portray in society, they must realize that at the very beginning, they created a lot of problems for themselves based on how they introduced themselves to society or allow people who were not fully indoctrinated into their lifestyle or religion form to be associated with them. So they had perhaps two sets of people, one decent and one otherwise. But that created a problem for them, and that's why even to today, they are going to have problems having the country and leaders in particular to respect them. It's unfortunate. But they can't look at themselves as being ostracized or demonized by society in modern-day Bahamas as some fault of society. They must take responsibility for this image and this lifestyle, because it got to a point where the image detested what was called Rasta or what is called Rasta. I mean, they literally went into residential neighborhoods, took them over, these little rental units. There was one on Woodford, right next, between the Woodford Theater or what is now Tireplex and Main Street. One was there, I think one was for either Cordolia Street or Washington Street. There were several of them around society in these urban areas. And they created havoc, they created fear, they created hysteria, they created an intimidating effect upon society. And that has followed them from then until now. And while the gentleman sounds decent, he sounds knowledgeable, I understand his plea, he must remember the way they introduced themselves or they allowed others who were not fully indoctrinated into their religion to associate themselves with his group and portray themselves as Rastas. Because you hear anyone not hear a person calling himself Rasta, and I don't believe they are in fact a true Rastafarian. But they have allowed all sorts of people to associate themselves in society with their group, calling themselves Rastas. And because of that intimidating factor that they created and that intimidating posture that they took in society during the late 60s, early 70s, it is going to be a hard road for them to travel.
Yes, sir. I understand you call it 326-8255, 326-8255, 322-5477. If you support or you a critic and you want to have one or two questions answered or you would like to get some information, 326-8255, 322-5477. I hear you, and I'll respond before I allow Jamaica both respond. At first, when you see persons with hair, what they call it, locks, that don't mean that they Rasta, you know. Because I think Morgan Heritage or one of those sing a perfect song about that. You don't have the dread to be Rastas, you know. All Rastas don't have dreadlocks. It's a heart thing, man. It's a soul thing. It's from the conscience of your heart. Because you don't have the dread to be Rasta. Trust me. I know plenty of persons who support and who live the culture, the Rastafarian culture, and they ain't got no dreadlocks. Right? So, but persons associate persons with locks as Rasta. You have Rastas who don't even smoke. I know persons who are Rastas don't even smoke, and they live that culture. So it's a different myriad of culture of persons or personalities, and not because a person have locks mean they're Rasta. And I understand you, and it's a hill they have to climb, and with ordinary citizens who even being a part of them, by helping them and being with them, because you would understand, then you'd be able to assist and make the road easier. That's why they only want to be able to live free. That's like every other denomination, man. The Catholic living free. Who had the biggest scandal in this Catholic? And the Anglicans. Who had, I mean, people just want to be free and let God be the judge. I'll let you respond to the gentleman before I go to the break.
I would tell the gentleman I thank him for what he said, and I'll start out by saying that Numbers chapter 6 allowed us a Nazarite vow, told us to grow our locks and not to cut the corners of our beds. So not to eat. A lot of our principles comes out of the Bible, out of the Nazarite vow. So as a Rastafarian, we take the Nazarite vow. In the early 70s, late 70s, when Rastafarian really sprang up here in the Bahamas, you gotta look at it that they were already ostracized because they already look crazy because of the locks. And next time I come here, I will bring one of the Rastafarians from that time to now, who's still in the faith. And it wasn't that they were criminal, they was misunderstood. We were ostracized because we were different from everybody else.
Right,
Nobody
different
liked
from
the
the
same.
normal.
So just because a group of Rastas them rented a house and put up a fence, we become the problem in the neighborhood.
No, sir.
I always tell people, it's funny, if Saturday comes and a group of Rastas pull up in a bunch of cars through a neighborhood today, how many police you think will be there now in the next 5 minutes? We'll have everybody in that neighborhood calling the police for us because Rastas come. But the Jehovah's Witness and the Seventh-day Adventists, them do it all the time.
All the time.
But they don't get the.
That's why I tried.
It's a false narrative that they have
Right.
about us.
Perception.
The perception is older. So back in the 70s, as it was then, and like I spoke about, we stayed to ourselves so nobody understood what we were doing or who we were. So that caused them to ostracize us, and we went ostracize ourselves from out of the community because we know we live in the world, but we are not of the world.
And I start off the show. I begin the show by stating how persons who are true Rastafarians, and who live their culture, you could see it. They humble. You don't never see them about the road cursing, I'm saying language, drunkard, and all about laying down this way. Not because a man here that's have a turban on it or he dreadlocks mean he's a Rasta. That's because he like that. Today you see more man here rode on and drop curls and more than woman. So and no one is complaining about them. In the legal word, what he started with, we call that profiling.
Exactly.
We call that profiling, where you allowing a person, a parents, to judge them. I think I'll take a commercial break. This is Primetime Independent Thing on Love 97. Special guest today. It's John McKeebo. He's in studio with me. My name is Marlon Owen Johnson, aka Independent Thing. Let's take a third commercial break. And then we quick cameo on the break. But you don't have to dread to be a Rasta. Now, right now.
Cancer. It's a word no one wants to hear. But at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we hear it every day. It's a word we've dedicated our lives to overcoming by changing the way patients are treated. And now we're part of City of Hope, which is one of the nation's top 10 cancer hospitals. Together, we'll combine leading-edge clinical research with precision cancer treatment, so we can be there when you need us most. So when you hear the word cancer, there's another word that should come to mind. Hope. Call now.
You don't have to dread to be Rasta. It's the contents of your heart, man. Listen, it's your heart. And listen, tell them, man, I understand what he's saying. I hear him. But boy, listen, we living in a day and time where a man wearing 2 earrings, the hair flat, the hair drop down. I see man without a marble bleaching. So I mean, plenty things happening this time, and we weren't about a Rastafarian culture where these the most humble set of people. Give me a nut. I don't people I see humble like y'all, and the Muslim is the Jehovah's Witness. But they ain't gonna probably with the Jehovah's Witness. I'm knocking on your door and giving you a pamphlet and taking up your Saturday morning, right? But of a Rastafarian group who they did a marvelous cleanup.
40 tons yesterday.
40 tons of garbage.
Over one street.
And
we did it on 3 islands simultaneously.
3 islands simultaneously.
Grand Bahama.
Man, you all need listen to me. I can tell you this. I know you all don't want to be showboating, but let me tell you something. Persons who are uneducated, they usually gravitate to understanding what they see with the eye. So if you all do a more aggressive campaign to show that, you know what I mean, we only a humans who like cannabis or who have dreadlocks or who try to stay community minded to themselves. We doing things to garner support. And like how you say, some 23,000. And listen, y'all can form a block and even have a constituency, because the constituency, the biggest set is 5,000. So if you all got 20 to 25,000 persons, listen, if you all move and get to an area where you all could conquer a whole area, like Michael, Southern Shores or one of them, plenty of moves much in that area, you all will be the determined factor. And you all can dictate to what you all want, man. That's how life is. No matter what nobody tell you, that's how politics function in the world, numbers. Right? So don't mind people, they can say what they want to see. Trust me, y'all can have a Rasta in the Assembly. You could have a Rasta in the Senate. Because listen, when you start to understand the power of numbers in politics, then you start to determine it. Rich people don't go to the polls, you know. You don't see no billionaire you don't see Elon Musk voting. You don't see Leonardo Vesco, them who own temporary group of companies voting, right? The masses vote. The majority, 99% of people who go to the poll like me, right? Because we trying to vote somebody in to get us rich or help us or make life easier for us. So that's an important number, sis. You understand what I'm saying? And you can't be discouraged. 326-8255, 326-8255, 322-5477, 322-5477. Numbers. And I have a movement. It's just movement. It's creeping now because we had a very bad obstacle for years. We started a movement, maybe about 20 men, called BBM, Bahamas Brothers Movement, to do non-profit work in different communities. And the member of parliament for that particular area refused to allow the Attorney General to grant us a non-profit organization permit, and from the Attorney General office, and supposed to be signed off by the governor, and they wouldn't allow us. And we did get it, but after you get it, after 7 years, the guys get discouraged. And I ain't no Rasta, I ain't no dreadlock. So why they was doing it to me? Why they was doing it to us? None of the guys who was part of us was Rastas. So it ain't only y'all, and these people with a mindset. It's a mindset in this country. And you hear what he say? Long time ago, guys on the block. But I mean, there's Rasta because their hair wasn't combed. Right. I mean, there's Rasta because they had dreadlocks.
We still getting judged for something what happened almost 50 years ago.
You hear what I say? The most humble set of people in this country, I don't care what they say. Any the priest, the Anglican, the bishop, them, and thing. It's the Rastafarian, the Muslim, and the Jehovah's Witness. Mark my word, eh? I done lived 50 years. I don't know that.
I'll tell you now. When me and my brothers, my mother has 4 sons, and we all went private school. You know, when we became Rastafarians, it was almost like community looked down on my mother.
Right.
Why your sons and how you could do that? You allow them in your house, you need to kick them out. I remember my mother telling somebody, I've never seen my sons come home and pick up their Bible and read their Bibles. Till they became Rastafarian. As much as I send them to church, I grew up in the church. But
Yeah.
when I come home from church, I don't pick up that Bible till it's time to go to church. My mother watched us come home and hold our Sabbath. Every Sabbath, we get into our Bible. And my mother said, well, that's what I have to get them in the Bible. I ain't fighting against it.
Right.
And
Right.
now I went off, lived abroad for a few years. And when I came home, I found a Rasta in every family. So now nobody diss my mother now because their son is Rasta or their daughter is Rasta.
Right.
This one is, so it's everybody now. So where we see that stigma that we had a heavy stigma, it's changing. So when the caller said that it's gonna be hard for us,
That's his mindset.
no,
That's a past mindset.
Right, that's a mindset.
More easy than he think.
The thing is, and we're not trying to change nobody's mind towards what we are. We just want our constitutional rights as a being.
Right.
And that's what everybody
As a
looking
citizzen.
to live free.
That's
it.
why you're gonna be free.
That's
And
all.
listen, this bill ain't complete.
No, this
I
is
tell you
garbage.
this, but it's a start.
My thing is this.
You know.
I've heard a reporter asked me today. She said, she heard from one Rastafarian that he feel like it's 85%. He asked me, so what does the Rastafarian community, and I tell her I do not speak for myself. I speak for the community.
Right.
Because that's what they put me to do.
Right.
Our community, between 10 to 15% on this, and that comes just because they put a bill there. Every other aspect of the bill is garbage. And we can go through a myriad of things, from the obvious that cannabis is a herb, is a plant, it's not a pharmaceutical.
Right.
And any smart thinking person heard the word farmer, we know what a farmer is. Farmer comes from the root word pharmacy, what is chemicals.
Right.
So now, the pharmacist deals in chemicals. The herbalist deals in natural remedies. He deals in plants, bush medicines.
But that's the type of society you have. Job.
We grow up on the bush.
Yeah.
Go into the
You know what I
herbalist.
say? I was trying to get to you just now. That's what the type of society we have. The people in the mindset, they don't understand. Liquor, right? Who controls the airwaves and controls communications in the country. They have part of their laws as it's illegal for you to even speak about herbal medicine and stuff like that. That's illegal. You could be, I'm telling you, I'm just telling you. You cannot brag of the benefits of Cersei and Capitan and Bejarina and stuff like that. You cannot. That's illegal. That's So the society we live today, right? It's like they forcing you. They're preventing as much information of naturalism to get to the masses and the public, because they need you to be tied to a tree with the pharmacy.
Yeah, you see, and that's
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's
Alright,
why I
so-
said we look at it, like I said in the beginning, all doctors was against cannabis. Up until 2018, all doctors told you that cannabis is bad for you. We, the Rastafarians and the herbalists, has always been saying cannabis good for you. We have always been treating cancer, at least patients, with cannabis. We've been the herbalists them out there doing it illegally. But now they're gonna set a framework, a legal framework, and still make it illegal for us to be able to deal with the cannabis. Now, I say, and I tell them, there is a place for pharmaceutical cannabis, what the pharmacists them should be in control of. But there's also the bigger market of the natural herbs. In our society, you have a set of people who would take bush medicine before they take an over-the-counter drug. And let's be real. That's what it is coming out of the pharmacy, drugs. Cannabis is not a drug. They just, when they schedule it, they schedule it as Schedule 1, said it has no no use in the human world. It's just garbage. It's drug, is a drug. But now they had to admit that that was a lie. That was fallacy. And now they had to reschedule it. Because it does have benefits and use, and they still wouldn't just go straight and say, this is a plant. If you eat the wrong ackee will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But we have an ackee tree. Nobody legislated ackee yet.
Yeah. Right.
But
You're
now,
100% correct.
now, but if you go ahead and choose a plant, now that's why I don't understand what they're trying to do in our country. This is the only country in the world that's actually trying to take a plant and make it into a drug.
But I can give you the secret of that. I will give you the secret. The secret is that plenty persons believe that this bill was designed for Rastas. No, sir.
I tell you, yeah. See, and
It
you
wasn't
know
designed for
what?
Rastafari.
That come from
you could
government
benefit
again.
from a crumb of the bill. They designed the bill in the Bahamas to make money.
Yeah,
They put in the license with a very hefty monetary tag on it, so that ordinary persons can even get it.
Let me put it like this: when you look at the bill and you not just read the bill, what we did, we stepped back from the bill and look at the bill in its entirety.
Right.
After looking at legislation from all over the Caribbean, everywhere we looked at their legislation. But when we look at this legislation, I could tell the people this is a game. And this is a game for the rich. Where if we were serious with having an industry, a cannabis industry in this country, first of all, we would never have exportation. We would never have that. Why? You don't export until you grow a surplus. You have to be able to grow enough to handle your industry first. And then you export out the surplus. But you don't start an industry, which we have to import right now. If they say cannabis legal tomorrow, you would have to import all the cannabis into the country for us to start using, because it's illegal to grow right now, so nobody growing it. And it'll take seasons for us. It'll take at least 10 to 15 seasons of growing before we could start having a level market where we could at least start to grow enough to supply just the usage here in the country. But it's not for us. The game is this: they're gonna grow the cannabis here and export it out to the bigger markets. That's why the usage that the government said for medical use, look at it, it's a pain management. That's what cannabis is here in this country. It's for pain management. It's for when they don't want to put you on the heavy opioids, they could give you cannabis. But look at it, you got to be cancer, stage 4 cancer, all these things, Lou Gehrig's disease, how much else, these things, it's the bill is not made for us. They price it out, they give it to their rich friends who's doctors, who've always fought against cannabis. They give it to the pharmacists, who've always fought against cannabis. And their rich friends, because you may say, I want a license to farm. When you look at the bill, the stipulations you need to do, the regulations they have on you for your farm, it'll cost you almost $200,000 just to start your farm, for them to come and look at this, approve you to start growing, because you're gonna have biometric locks, you need the security have to be heavy, all of these things. So the regular man, if you could scrape $12,000 to get a license, you are not gonna scrape the money to be able to put a seed in the ground. Because you gotta buy the property, then you gotta secure the property, you gotta make sure they have the grow houses secure.
They design it, it's not designed, it's designed for Rastafarians along with other citizens to be consumers, for you to purchase from them. To me, in my humble opinion, it's being designed to be controlled, right? Mm-hmm. Controlled and managed by a certain few persons, where they design the same thing with the numbers.
I'll ask you something. They give us the rights to smoke it didn't give us nowhere to get it from.
Because they want you buy it from them. Who they
No,
give the license to?
the thing is this. We want to stop black market cannabis just as much as the government. But what this law is going to do is increase black market cannabis.
Yeah.
Because in this, let me explain it. I've studied this legislation. In this legislation, you have a pharmacy that, here's how, and I want the Bahamian public to understand this, because they think they're going to go and get a license or a card, a medical card, like every other jurisdiction, and then you could go inside the dispensary and say, hey, I want that or I want to see that. No, it's going to be, you sick, your doctor recommends you to be on a cannabis treatment, so he's going to input your prescription into the computer in his office, and that goes straight to the pharmacist. He don't give you no card. You go to the card with your government ID to the pharmacy he send you to, and you said, I come to pick up my prescription, and the pharmacist is going to give you your prescription from in the back of the counter. Like it's a drug. It isn't like nowhere else in the world where you go into a pharmacy and you go into a dispensary, where you go into a dispensary and you can see the indica, you can see the sativa, you can see the different types of cannabis and choose. I know, as a practitioner of cannabis, that nobody could give you. I always ask, what is the dosage for cannabis? I need a pharmacist to tell me what's the dosage, because everything they deal in is in dose. So what is the dosage for cannabis? No, they can't tell you because there's no dosage. But now, when they turn it into a pharmaceutical, now you can have dosage of that. That's why I said it is a place for the pharmacy. But this legislation said the only place is the pharmacy. You will have, when you can't say, well, when you go for a cannabis treatment, me in the store, I gotta spit no cannabis because I need to speak to you, find out what's your problem, what you going through. That's why we say the rest of them could prescribe this. I'll give you something and ask you to try that, and come back and tell me if it's what you need, if it's too heavy, too light, what do you need? We have, and that's how and everybody who deals in cannabis know that's what it is. Until you know what your brand or what your dosage is, then you can go on, because it's more like a trial and error. And it isn't, and people talk about getting high, it's a meditation, it isn't about getting high. If you want to get high, you can go buy an aerosol can out of the food store, and you can huff that and get high. And it isn't illegal.
326-8255, 326-8255, 322-5477, 322-5477.
You laugh, but you know it's true.
No, yeah, man, you could sniff a Primetime buying guy, the carbon monoxide, not to get you so high. Listen to me. I thought it's a good progressive step as only a start. But when you're going to put a limitation where you design the license where only, I mean, if these lawyers were so lousy and lazy in this country, they'll carry that legislation to court the minute that pass. Because you've done discriminating against when you put the license like that. They ain't gonna put the bail height for murderers, right? People getting paid for $10,000. But they gonna put the marijuana license for $200,000 and create known stipulation where you can't, it's hard for you to get a license. Where you have to have money, not only to do the license, but at least you gotta have it to spare. But you can't take your whole $200,000 to go try plan and try to start a business. So they know that in order for you to do, you have to have a reasonable amount of monetary standard, right? So, they done starting off wrong, but it's a step in the right direction as a start. Only as a start.
See, the thing
and when you say 10%, I mean
this ain't, if this was, to me, personally, if this was the government's plan, and this what they come up with, I'd have had more respect for them, and I'd give them more of a percentage in it. But this isn't the government plan. This was not Hubert Minnis' plan during the F&M when this started. If everybody remember, CARICOM came here, and this is a mission around the whole of CARICOM. Every CARICOM nation, they did this cannabis study. And everybody forget that here in the Bahamas, it was overwhelmingly supported for legalization, not decriminalization, not medical marijuana, none of this thing. When they asked us in this country the question was, you all want it legal or not? And the pass to the point that we had to. Now what CARICOM did was allow the government of every jurisdiction to be the government, and they decide on how to legislate it into their country. Our government decided, and I tell everybody, we don't have a cannabis bill, we have a medical cannabis bill. And that's all they're looking at, and a lot of behemoths not understanding that point. Because I have a lot of people who reach out to me and say, oh, we get it, we get it.
They did the same thing. Listen, John Mikey, they did the same thing with the number,
Yeah.
You have the right to the Minister of Tourism, right? Tourists is right to the Minister of Tourism, But a Bahamian, a citizen who pays taxes through every nose hole on their body, have the right to the minister and ask him if he could please and beg him on his knee, please let me go in the casino and gamble in your own country, right? It's the same thing with this bill. It's the same thing with this bill. You don't have the freedom to grow a marijuana plant as a result of this bill in your house.
Nope.
You don't have the freedom to grow a marijuana plant in your backyard. You don't have the freedom to smoke dope that you ain't come to the pharmacy.
Right.
You don't have the freedom to get the permission to smoke it if it don't come from a doctor prescription. So it's a start, but man, listen, this designed to put a control on it for them to make some money of your black people.
You ever heard of GMO cannabis?
No.
Genetically modified cannabis.
No, I know genetically modified GMO, but I know.
What I mean is this. We talk about the heavy psychosis. People like to talk about cannabis is saying you're crazy and the psychosis in cannabis. But they don't understand it's not the natural cannabis like what the Rasta fighting the government for to keep. The natural cannabis is this GMO cannabis, this synthetic drug, this
that's what it is. They're going loud.
Fake marijuana
Right.
that's sending people crazy. Because
Right.
now they want to control the amount of THC in it, the amount of CBDs inside it. They want to control the endocannabinoids inside of it. So therefore now, you have a set of cannabis that you hear young boys on the street referring to as foreign. That's foreign. Yeah, it is foreign, because it's foreign to us. We don't know
Not only
nothing
for
about
that,
that.
they're allowed to create all kind of flavors as a result of the GMOs.
Exactly.
You could smoke vanilla
No.
cannabis. You could smoke all that nonsense.
No, watch this with that. That cannabis doesn't grow with seed.
No seed.
No seed.
Ain't no GMOs,
So-
byproduct or products go with seed.
So
None.
So what happened if I
Grapes, everything. They don't have no seed in it.
What happened when I put down 100,000 plants of GMO cannabis and I reap that? Don't I gotta go back to the seed farm, the seed mill, to the government to get more seed?
Right, they ain't gonna reproduce no more seed.
No.
But
But the way how the Rastas grow cannabis, every season we grow a season for just seeds. That's not the set. That's just for seeds for the other side. And if you have enough seed, you may be able to carry you 2 or 3 seasons before you have to grow a farm again of
For
just
seed.
seeds. To keep
But
it
no,
going.
I would
That's
have, I thought, right? Honestly, I really thought that they would give a sector an opportunity to be a part of the cultivation and growing of it. Let me take your score. Primetime with Independent Dingo.
Independent Dingo.
You got a minute. Go ahead. You're live.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, my thing is with this whole thing, right? Pharmacy, like your guest was saying, right? How the pharmacy got to be set as medicinal plant. The medicinal plant, like you say, was always the enemy for years. Not just now, And now the pharmacy man at the pinnacle saying, yeah, you got to come to them to get it. But they distribute drugs, pharmaceutical drugs,
Yep.
and whatever they concoction they come up with this Marinol thing, right? And whatever they want to put upon you, and whatever pill, whatever they put together, and they want to put you on that, right? It isn't marijuana, all right? And you know what? Personally, how I feel today, it's like, so the real thing what we should be looking at and worrying about in this country today is the opioids that are coming in this country. All right? And that is more dangerous than any marijuana you can grow. Your marijuana is just ubiquitous plant can grow anywhere, anytime, any place. Am I wrong?
Nope, not wrong at all.
And I mean, it's like it's natural, right? So why is it that, I mean, like, the plant is marijuana, we know what that plant is, right? Why is it that the government gotta be telling us, well, we gotta come to them for this and that, when it's their seeds that can be planted and we can grow what we need? You understand what I'm saying?
Right, man.
Because they
Hold
see,
on.
because the legislation and the mindset is designed to control. They're allowing you to have something that you might occasionally get, but they want to control it in a manner where you must purchase from them, so they will benefit monetarily by giving you a chance to get it.
No, but
That's what it
how
is.
we see it, right? From time I remember pharmacy, all they've ever been doing is giving drugs that people take. You take one drug, you got 10 side effects. You take 10 drugs,
Exactly.
you got 100 side effects, right? And it's all about that. But with marijuana, there are no side effects, right?
Go on.
I can tell you what, right? I mean, like, I'm asthmatic, right? Now, I already said on the radio, right, that I've been using that to clear my asthma for years, right? Now, I face in my life, put my life in my own hand, right? And I see death in my feet enough time and think, can't breathe, this and that and that. But when I like to slip and cough up, that thing would cause me can't breathe. It's against the law for me to breathe. And what gets me with they pass this legislation, right? And with marijuana, that persons with asthma is not on that list. But these men didn't even know that. Well, I mean, like, if you ever read the Emperor of Wears No Clothes, Rasta again?
Say it again.
The Emperor Wears No
No
Clothes.
clothes, yep.
On him.
Yep.
You read that, right?
Yeah, man.
I had to quick copy of that book. You know who was my book now in England?
Oh, who was it about?
Dion Anna.
Okay. Well, I think Mr. Anna's back now, but
Yeah, but that's my boy. He has
Right.
my Emperor Wears No Clothes. And you know, they had a quick book in this time. And you know, personally, I basically was the first advocate to basically go to the police commission. I have a letter I got from my doctor years ago, 21 years ago, right? When Monroe said before he got into office that marijuana, it isn't illegal. All he could do is go to your doctor and get a letter. All right?
Get the
So
permission.
it's a paradox in saying that, we are decriminalized and this with this certain segment of persons and this and that, right? But what's really getting me is that who are these people who can tell you what's good for your health because you ain't going to them? But hold on, want me to say something? I know for myself, because guess what? If I wasn't smoking marijuana to clear myself, I'd be dead long time. Enough time. Why? Because guess what? I know what it is. I know when I'm facing moments where I couldn't even hardly breathe. You hear me? And go to the hospital is a joke because guess what? I've been going to them as a child, right? And up to the age of 17, and I stopped from there. Right now, I'm 65 years old, Hear me? And who could tell me what is good for me when I've been taking care of myself and I ain't going to them? All right, because I don't need to be on the pharmaceuticals and stuff that I be hooked on them and hiding on to keep on going to the doctor. And when they finish, when they see that they can't do nothing, what they do? Abandon you. Or nothing else we could do. Really nothing else we could do.
And they got you in a position.
Pull you up with chemicals.
Yeah.
But you know what? In closing, right? We should more focus on all these, in this country, we should more focus on all this genetically modified food and junk.
Right.
They allow the government to put in our bodies and they ain't checking. And these doctors, they know what's going on, right? And they just
But they benefit.
sickness
They
pays.
benefit free thinker. They benefit because the more you get sick, the better for them. The more persons die, better for the undertaker. So the system is not designed in the best interest of the poor if you can't afford.
Well,
Trust me.
I'll tell the caller right now, when you start with pharmaceuticals, when they talk about putting chemicals, making plug, you gotta look at the proteins that's in the cannabis. And actually in most medication starts as a plant. And then they add the proteins and all the other things that gives you the side effects. Because when you look at the pill itself, the percentage of whatever plant it started out with is so minute compared to other chemicals they add to it.
Right.
Till it's almost watered down. And like he said, I have a heart condition. And they tell me I mustn't smoke. But I realized that when I go through my condition, if I were to smoke, I could calm myself, and therefore now my heart rate goes down. But the doctors them tell me no, that's gonna speed it up. Same thing with asthma. I know a few asthmatic people who use cannabis. You know, the biggest thing they talk about is pregnant women, and I think that's the biggest fallacy. Pregnant women shouldn't use cannabis at all. And let me tell everybody, and I can blow your mind, that it's wrong. Pregnant women should use cannabis. Why? I'll tell you the fetus. First, I am a proponent of teaching the endocannabinoid system in school from 3rd grade and up. From you start teaching the circulatory system, you should teach the endocannabinoid system. And when you teach the endocannabinoid system, they teach you that in a pregnant woman, the fetus starts out with a CBD, with a cannabinoids, different cannabinoids that teach the fetus to feed. And when it teaches the fetus to feed, the biggest thing about cannabis and pregnant women, they tell you, you have low birth rate. The babies have low birth weight. So what happens? The mother doesn't understand that because of the endocannabinoid system that's in her and in her fetus, she needs to eat more. A mother who has never smoked cannabis before, even when she has a baby, what makes the baby latch onto the breast and suck for the milk? That same cannabinoid that he smelt and got from inside the stomach is actually around the breast. So the baby doesn't latch on because he's hungry. He learns to latch on because he's going for the cannabinoid that he was, from a fetus in the womb, he was dealing with. But we don't know these things because we wouldn't teach these things. We said, don't give a pregnant mother. I can bring a study that they did with 40 mothers. 20 mothers that smoked during their pregnancy, 20 mothers that did not. They did a 25-year study on these kids. And at the end, all the kids, the 20 kids that parents smoked, the mothers smoked, 18 of them were geniuses. When they looked at the 20 of the mothers them that did not smoke, they had 5 genius, and they had 5 of them that were genius, 9 of them that was average students, and the rest was failing. So they said that the parents, with the cannabis in their system, kids them come out. Why? Because their brains was more developed.
Take a final call. This is Primetime with Independent Thing. Go ahead, you're live.
Independent thinker.
You're live.
You're live. Listen to me, Rasta man.
Bless it,
To respect you.
my Lord.
Listen to me. Do you have to be dreadlocks to be a Rasta?
No, not at all.
Okay, let me say this another thing. Do you believe people like me that you call bald head? I've never smoked in my life. Never. I never smoked a cigarette in my life. I am 56, never smoked. I don't have nothing against people who smoking, just like I don't have nothing against people who drinking.
Okay.
But we have more homes broke up from people who drinking rum than smoking dope or smoking herb or whatever you want to call it. But do you know that there's 2 different, there's a male and a female herd?
Yeah? Oh yeah.
That the male herd is the one that gets you high. The female herd, you can smoke almost a bale and now doing nothing.
No, see, you looking at what it is, a difference between the hemp and when we grow in cannabis, and when you naturally grow in cannabis, not that modified, you have a female plant and a male plant. Now, me as a farmer, whenever male plants start coming, I kill them quick, pull them out quick, because I don't want them to fertilize my female plants.
Oh.
Because when they fertilize my female plants, I end up with a bunch of seed. My buds, instead of them becoming buds, they start to, like what a woman wants to do. She want to give off kids. So we want to stop that. So we try to grow them either separately. Most farmers will pull the male trees them out.
Yeah.
And yes, and just keep the female trees so they don't be
The
fertilized.
woman is always the best anyhow.
You know, so see, and that's the only thing with it. Now, you have something that you also grow, what we call hermaphrodite trees, what has one tree that have male and female on it. And the buds on them are very bad, horrible bad. You know, male trees them gonna flower. See, so yes, we have male and female, but you also have the hemp, what doesn't have any THC inside it, or very little THC inside it. You know, so we look at the plants them, and that's why I said that you have to be knowledgeable inside this. And I would tell everybody listening, the government doesn't show the Rastaman the respect in this industry. But if you are looking for consultants, reach out to the House of Rastafari, find a Rastafarian. They'll be the best consultants on cannabis. Even though, and I've been asking the government to hold a moratorium on cannabis so that we can allow the knowledgeable people here in this country in cannabis to come out and freely say what they do. Because right now, if you say it, you could be arrested for it. You cannot come out and say, I'm a cannabis farmer. You go to jail, because they're going to know where the farm is. But yet, I'm from Grand Bahama, where I could tell you about many farms that they find with 1 million trees growing. And then how many people they arrest on the farm? 2 people growing 1 million trees. 100,000 trees growing. How many people they find? 1 person. 200,000 trees, nobody. You know, so we have this knowledge here, and the government's gonna play this game of watch the people they bring here as specialists and consultants and all these things, and not giving the behavior, because we don't have the chance to say what we do here in this country. You'd be surprised to know the knowledge of cannabis that is here. I take a chance and I speak vocally on it, and I be harassed by the police. You know, my wife's sitting out and outside. She can tell you everywhere I go. Anytime I do these shows, I gotta look out because I know it's gonna happen. I'm gonna get it from the police, but I gotta do this because this for our people. We gotta stand for something, or fall for anything.
That might give you a flat all the time. This is prime time and independent thinker. Listen, I'm gonna try to bring you back.
Anytime.
So we could continue the conversation, even when the bill doesn't pass, even when it's implemented, when it's sent by the Governor General. We still need to educate more, because the more we educate, the stronger the belief become, and the movement gains strength and traction.
Yeah.
I might tell you that, eh?
Yeah, man.
Numbers in politics control the country. Numbers. The more persons you could get to accept and understand, then they appreciate, then you can't talk to them. You can't sell them a dream when this thing is designed to really free black people. No. This designed to certain portion of society to make some money of persons who utilize or who need this.
Before we go, look who already paid the penalties for cannabis. The Rastaman. We being persecuted for this. Look who's the last person in this legislation saying we can't even sell a seed.
Right.
Rastaman can't sell nothing.
Right.
We only could grow 11 pounds a season. That's nothing. We only could have 14 grams. That's a half an ounce for an organization with 200 people in it. We only could have a half an ounce. That didn't tell me this ain't for us, and they don't understand us.
No, they ain't for you. These times some people that make some big money. That's our partner sponsor tonight. Our partner sponsor tonight, the City of Hope. That's the former Cancer Society of Americas. That's our partner sponsor, Najaco Insurance, for all the insurance need. Listen, Mackey Street near the Salvation Army. Visit them today, whatever your insurance need. Global Insurance and report for those who are west, or you choose to go that way. And you need a medical, you need residential, you need commercial, you need industrial, you need whatever insurance you need for marine, whatever you should ask for Tina or any one of the ladies at the insurance company out there. Ask them 601-0006, 601-0006. Rasta Grains and Dames on Nassau Street. Listen, pay them a visit tomorrow. I guarantee you're gonna join. I guarantee you will enjoy a nice solid, a Rasta plate, a ital plate, and some natural juices, not them GMOs, fruits with no seed. Guaranteed. Visit them tomorrow on Nassau Street, right before you reach the bamboo shop. On the opposite side, you'll see the Lion of Judah on the door. Visit them, pay them a visit, and I guarantee you, you'll feel better. I guarantee you that's how the food is. Natural. That's natural, natural, natural. Tonight I had Ja Mikey Bo in the studio. I'm gonna give him an opportunity to come back. I'm gonna get his information. So once I call him, he could come and sit in every so often, and let's just talk about the progression of what's happening, how much change has changed as a result of the legislation as time going. It's a step in the right direction. It's a start. That's all it is. But it's not the legislation that is needed. It's similar to the former legislation that the Perry Christie administration, the former Prime Minister, the Honorable Perry Christie administration did with gambling. It's a similar process where you had to beg the minister, write him a letter and beg him to let you go gambling, and you have to approve it in order for you to go gambling as a citizen in this country in the casinos. It's a similar type of legislation with this marijuana, and it makes persons believe that the Rastafarians has won. When you hear the facts and the intended legislation that's being debated, it's not all of that, but it's a start. I hope some things change, because things can be amended, which they hardly ever do. Because if you go back, in 1997, the Free National Movement passed legislation. In 1998, they passed legislation where they repealed the Removed Property Act and created the International Persons Land Holding Act, where foreigners are allowed to speculate on land and cause the price of land to go to reach of ordinary payments in this country. The former PLP administration, led by the former Prime Minister Honorable Perry Christie, they opposed that. They voted no in the Senate. And they went in 2002. And the legislation is still law today. It wasn't changed. So, it's a start with this legislation. Why amend something that you could put in law now? Some things must change. Next week, prime time, same place, same time. I thank you for coming, Mr. Prophet Mike Kibo. I hope that means you become, come in maybe every 2 months and just sit down for an hour and a half and let's chat. Let's chat, and then, just start to educate. See, once we educate the masses, as much as persons who listen and get an understanding, the politicians ain't going to be able to play no game on them. Remember, I tell you that. Appreciate it. Hey, come out with the song with You Don't Have to Dread to Be Rasta, man. Let's end the show with that. Before that, when I end with the statement from the great Dixon Lindenhoff Capillan, if Bahamians aren't prepared to stand up and fight and defend their own Bahamas, then they don't deserve